Hi Matthew, hi Kira, hi Michaela. Hope you guys are all doing well and you have been very, very good today. And I hope that you are all getting ready for Christmas. I was talking to your mum the other day and I said I want to read those guys a story. Now, when I was around about the same age as all you guys, my dad read me this book, The Magic Faraway Tree. It's one of my favorite stories out there. I absolutely love it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read one chapter from this book and then I'm going to send it to you by video and we'll see if it works. If it works and if you like it and if you like me reading you a story, then I can send more videos for you and you can send me one back too. So I'm going to start on chapter 1. Now I think Michaela, you've read this book, but the other two haven't. But I'm going to read the first chapter and we'll see if this all works out. Okay. So, The Magic Faraway Tree by Enid Blyton. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called How They Found the Magic Wood. There were once three children called Joe, Beth and Franny. And all their lives they'd lived in a town. But now their father had a job in the country. So they were all to move as soon as they possibly could. What fun the country will be, said Joe. I shall learn all about the animals and all about the birds. And I shall pick as many flowers as I want to, said Beth. And I shall have a garden all of my own, said Franny. When the day came for the move, all the children were excited. A small van came to their door, and the two men helped their father and mother to pile everything into it. When it was full, the van drove away, and the children put on their coats and their hats to go with their mother to catch a train to the station. Now we're off, cried Joe. The country, sang Beth. We might see fairies there, said Franny. The train whistled and chuffed out of the station, and the children pressed their noses against the window and watched the dirty houses and chimneys race by. How they hated the town. How lovely it would be to live in the clean country with flowers growing everywhere and birds singing in the hedges. We might have adventures in the country, said Joe. There'll be streams and hillsides and big fields and dark woods. Oh, it'll be lovely. You won't have any more adventures in the country than you will have in the town, said their father. I dare say you'll find it all very dull. But that's where he was quite wrong. My goodness, things that happened to those three children. This sounds like it's going to be a good adventure already, doesn't it? They arrived at last at the tiny station where they were to get out. A sleepy-looking porter put their 2 bags on a trolley and said he would bring them along later. Off they all went down the winding country lane, chattering loudly. I wonder if we've got a garden, said Franny. But before they reached their new home, they were tired out and could not bother to say a word more to each other. Their cottage was 5 miles from the station, and as the children's father couldn't afford to do anything but walk there, it seemed like a very, very, very long way indeed. There was no bus to take them, so the children dragged their feet along, wishing for a glass of warm milk and a cosy bed. When at last they got there, and dear me, it was worth all the walk, for the cottage was sweet. Roses hung from the walls, red, white and pink, and the honeysuckle was all around the front door. It was lovely. The van was at the door, and the 2 men were moving all the furniture into the little house. Father helped, while Mother went to light the kitchen stove to make them all a hot drink. They were so tired that they could do nothing but drink their hot milk, eat some toast and tumble into their roughly made beds. Joe looked out the window, but he was too sleepy to see properly. In 1 minute, the 2 girls in their small room were asleep, and Joe too in his even tinier room. What fun it was to wake up in the morning and to see the sun shining in at the strange windows. It didn't take Joe, Beth and Franny very long to dress, and then they were out and into the little garden, running through the grass that had grown so long and smelling the roses that grew all around. Mother had cooked eggs for them, and they ate their breakfasts hungrily. It's lovely in the country, said Joe, looking out of the window to the faraway hills. We can grow vegetables in the garden, said Beth. There'll be glorious walks all around here, said Franny. That day, everyone helped to get the little house straight and tidy. Father was going to work the next day. Mother hoped there would be someone to give her washing to do, give her washing to do, then she would make enough money to buy a few hens. That would be lovely, to have chickens. I shall collect the eggs each morning and evening, said Franny happily. Let's go out and see what the country round here is like, said Joe. Can you spare us for an hour, Mother? Yes, run along, said Mum. So off the three children went, out of the tiny white front gate and into the lane. They explored all around. They ran across a field where pink clover was full of bees. They paddled in a small brown stream and that chattered away to itself under the willow trees in the sunshine. And then suddenly they came to a wood. It was not far from their cottage at the back. It looked quite an ordinary wood, except that the trees were darker green than usual. A narrow ditch separated the wood from the overgrown lane. A wood, cried Beth in delight. We shall be able to have picnics here. It's rather a mysterious sort of wood, said Joe thoughtfully. Don't you think so, Beth? Well, the trees are rather thick, but they seem about the same as any others, said Beth. No, they don't, said Franny. The noise the leaves makes is quite different. Just listen. They listened, and Franny was right. The leaves of the trees in the wood didn't rustle quite in the same way as other trees did nearby. It's almost as if they were really talking to one another, said Beth, whispering secrets, real secrets, that we just can't understand. It's a magic wood, Franny said suddenly. Nobody said anything. They stood there and they listened. Wisha washa, wisha washa, wisha washa, said the trees in the wood, and they bent towards one another in a friendly way. There might be fairy folk in there, said Beth. Shall we jump over the ditch and go in? No, said Joe. We might get lost. Let's find our way around before we go into the big woods like this. Joe, Beth, Franny. Suddenly their mum's voice came from the cottage not far off. It's time for lunch. The children felt hungry all at once, and they forgot their strange wood and ran back to the new home. Mum had new bread and strawberry jam for them, and they ate a whole loaf between them. They must have been very, very hungry. Father came in just as they were finishing. He'd been shopping for Mum in the village 3 miles away, and he was hungry and very tired. We've been exploring everywhere, Dad, said Beth, pouring him out a big cup of tea. We found a lovely wood. The trees seem to really be talking to one another, Dad. That must be a wood I've heard about this afternoon. It has a strange name, kids. What's it called? Asked Joe. It's called the Enchanted Wood, said Dad. People don't go there if they can help it. It's a funny thing to hear things like this nowadays, and I don't expect that there is really anything strange about the wood. But just to be careful, don't go too far into it just in case you get lost. That sounds like quite sensible advice. The children looked in excitement at one another and the Enchanted Wood. What a lovely name. And each child secretly thought the same thought. I shall go and explore that enchanted wood as soon as ever I can. Their father set them to work in the overgrown garden once they had finished their meal. Joe had to pull up the tough thistles, and the 2 girls just had to weed the untidy vegetable bed. They spoke to one another in joyful voices. The enchanted wood, we knew there was something magical about it. I guess there must be fairies there, said Franny. We'll do some more exploring as soon as we can, cried Beth. We'll find out what those whispering trees are saying. We'll know all the secrets of the wood before many weeks are past. And that night, at bedtime, all 3 stood at the window, looking out on the dark, whispering wood behind the cottage. What would they find in the enchanted wood? And that is the end of chapter 1. Tomorrow, or the next time we do a story, it will be 2. Chapter 2, the first visit to the wood. So I will put the marker into the book so we know where to start next time. And I hope you've enjoyed the first chapter of the story. I really miss you guys and I love you loads, and I hope that you're being very, very nice little boys and girls. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.